Hey guys, this week we have this cute 2-tier mini birch wedding cake. The Brigadiers over in the Cherry Brigade forum have been posting their ideas and requests for the upcoming YouTube tutorials. Paula requested more wedding cakes, so here we are with this mini one, perfect for a small wedding. I've got a 6-inch round cake, ganached and ready to be covered, secured to a drum. Tutorials for all these previous steps are always linked in the description box. Dampen the top with water and lay over some white paste. Smooth it out and then add rough lines and rings around the top. You don't have to do the very centre as there's another cake going on top. Cut off the overhang with a scalpel. You can use a tape measure or a piece of string to measure around your cake to see how big to roll your paste. You can also measure the height, so I know I need a long piece of sugar paste that my string will fit on. I've just rolled the paste up like a Swiss roll so I can handle it easier and unroll it around the sides. Cut the joins straight, push them together and then buff out the seam. Then take your smedger and push down that bottom lip. You can see it helps define that bottom edge. Then I trim a little off, leaving a couple of millimeters, and go around again, squashing this lip down to give your bottom edge a clean finish without a gap. You should be able to see roughly where the top of your cake is. Leave about 1 centimetre and trim off the rest. Squeeze the cut edge between your fingers to thin it out and then pull it up to make rips and a textured jagged edge. With the Dresden tool, make random lines all around the cake, short and long, light and deep. Then push in some areas a lot deeper and widen the hole up. Score inside here to texture it with bumps and lines. You can even pull some of the paste out against your finger to thin it out. Continue around the cake, making all different types of small holes, some as deep crevices and some just as loose rips in the bark. It can be easy to overdo it and add too many, just because they're so easy and fun to do. But remember, you will also have another tier with the same texture on above, so it's best to just place them here and there. You also want to add lots of short little lines, which can be easily done with the end of your Dresden tool. The tier above is a 4-inch cake and it's been made in exactly the same way. I am airbrushing yellow colour on, but you can always just make a simple paint wash and paint it on. You'll get the same effect. And then I'm just filling the deep crevices with dark brown airbrush colour before spraying it with water and using a paintbrush to wipe the colour into the lines and holes. You can just go ahead and paint a wash straight on if you don't have an airbrush. Now I'm dabbing the excess colour off the surface with kitchen towel. You can see it's left the deeper colour in all your lines, but the surface is now a lighter bark colour. I'm also painting the very top of the cake and adding yellow to the edges. With some dark brown gel colour, so that the knots aren't all the same, I'm adding the darker colour in the deeper parts. I'm also using watered down dark gel just to add some colour variation to the smaller marks. Again, the exact same thing on your 4-inch cake. Now I'm stacking the cake using bubble tea straws. I still do get asked what these are for. They get cut to the same height as your bottom cake and they support the weight of the tier above it. The tier above also has its own board underneath, which sits on these straws so it doesn't sink. I stick my tiers together with ganache, give it a good push and then leave it to set. I'm covering the board in some pale pink paste. As always, it's the toilet seat method and the full tutorial on how to do it is always linked in the description box. I know I say it in every tutorial, but some people are watching these for the first time. Roll out some pale brown paste and run your Dresden tool over it in random line patterns to create a wood grain. Now I've got some letter embossers by Sugar Press, I'll leave them linked below, to stamp the initials into the wood. I'm then cutting them out with a heart cutter to make little wooden heart plaques. Roll out the paste into a long thin string, fold it in half and then push one hand up and one hand down to roll it into a rope effect. Cut the rope to the desired length and stick them dangling from the top tier. Add the hearts to the bottoms with water. You've seen me make these chunky twigs before. You'll just need some wire, brown floral tape and some cling film. Wrap your cling film tightly around your wire. It should stick to itself if you pull it tight enough. Then cover the whole thing in brown floral tape, pulling it tight into a twisty knobbly effect. These are great as you can bend them in whatever shape you like and they'll hold. These were only around 22 gauge. Make a few and pop them to one side. Now I'm using artificial flowers for this. You have the option of real, artificial or sugar, and each one is absolutely fine to use depending on the client's budget and what they're looking for, because whatever the flowers are made of, they're still going to be removed from the cake in the end anyway. Artificial will always be the quickest and you can manhandle them and cut them to create whatever look you like. I've taped mine up at the base, but you can also use posy picks or pieces of straw or dip them in chocolate. Then I'm just arranging them how I like in clusters on the top. I never do too well with sugar flowers here because I like to push them around to get them to sit properly, and I just end up breaking them. To hold something in place, you can add balls of sugar paste so you can insert the plastic part straight in to hold it. You can also add in bits of greenery, which should just sit nicely in between the flowers without the need to poke them in the cake. That is, of course, unless you're setting the cake up inside a wind tunnel. I pick up flowers from garden centres, country baskets, the range and even home bargains, and I keep a collection in my cupboard for arrangements just like this one. These are all different bits of greenery from various different bouquets. And that's it! This cake comes together pretty quickly due to the flowers and the easy texture. You may want to give yourself quite a few more days though if you wanted to make the flowers from sugar. I do have a rose tutorial here on my channel which I'll leave linked for you below. This is my first wedding cake since March and it's a cute little size for the smaller weddings people are now forced to have. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below, and if you want to have your say on the next tutorials and join the family, you can find us over in the Cherry Brigade forum. We would love to have you. Thanks guys, see you next week.